All right, let's dive into something pretty deep today. We're going to explore a really profound idea that sometimes true transformation, real growth, isn't about climbing up towards the light, it's about descending into the fire. We're following a jester on a journey where the shattering of all his conveniences reveals the very architecture of his soul. So yeah, let's get into this parable.
So we start with this incredibly haunting line from a creature made of living flame. And get this being, it used to be a simple stone companion for our jester. But now, it's shattered and reformed into this furnace of truth. This isn't just a hello, this is a reckoning. And it's the very first step of an incredible descent.
So, picture this. We're at the edge of the uncanny forest, a place where the trees themselves seem to whisper with absolute judgment. And it's here that the jester comes face to face with his old friend, who's now this blazing light that makes every single shadow sharp and readable. Everything familiar has just been twisted into something deeply strange, and you can just feel a confrontation is about to happen.
And that kicks off Act 1, the uncanny confrontation. The jester, he's being challenged now to look past his old bag of tricks, his clever wit, his mockery, and face a really fundamental question about what his purpose in the world actually is.
Okay, so here's the absolute core of it. The fiery seraphim throws down a challenge. For, centuries, the jester's whole gig was being a mirror, right? He was brilliant at reflecting the corruption and the foolishness of other people. And that's a pretty safe, powerful place to be. But now he's being told, nope, that's not enough. He has to turn away from the mirror and face the fire. Not their fire, the fire of his own making, his own soul.
And that brings us to Act 2, where this whole thing builds. See, this confrontation, it doesn't just challenge the jester. It completely shatters his identity. He's stripped of everything he thought he knew about himself and is given two new names that are going to completely redefine his existence: an instrument and an angle. In this part, this is what's so fascinating. It's the core revelation. The jester, he always thought his wit, his cleverness, was the source of the truths he was telling. But he's told flat out, you were never the source. You were just a conduit for a music being played by something else entirely. I mean, for anyone who's ever confused being the messenger with being the message, this changes everything.
So, his first new name is instrument. Think about it. An instrument has a job, a functional weight. It's a tool that makes a melody audible, but it isn't the melody itself. The jester's role is to make truth visible, to serve some force that's way bigger than his own performance. And just like that, he goes from being a man of mockery to a cartographer of the kingdom's entire moral landscape.
This right here perfectly illustrates that shift in thinking. He is not the sun, he's not the origin of the light. He is the direction, that unique and often uncomfortable path that the light has to take to get into places it couldn't otherwise reach. His job isn't creation, it's navigation.
And his second name, angle, it just builds right on top of this. You know how some truths are just too harsh to look at head on? Well, the jester is that unique angle of illumination. He's the geometry of the grotesque that's needed to get into the darkest, shadow side parts of the human spirit. He's the refraction that splits a person's carefully crafted performance into all its hidden colors. Which brings us to Act 3, the weight of witness. Now that he's accepted he isn't a source but a direction, the jester's role changes again. And this time, it's a huge evolution. He moves beyond doing anything at all and into this radical state of just pure presence.
You can see his whole journey laid out right here. He started out as this truth-telling monster, actively calling out all the bad stuff. Then he matured into the mirror of judgment, a more passive reflector of that same stuff. But now, he evolves into his final form on this particular path, the witness in vigil.
So what is vigil? Well, it's that powerful, silent presence that just stays in the room after the performance is done and the mirror's been put down. It's not about accusing. It's not about judging. It's about holding space for the truth, just letting it be seen without any interference. It's the weight of simply being the evidence in the room. And here's the absolute key. His transformation is now complete. He isn't playing a part anymore. His very being, his silent presence, standing there in his jester's costume, he becomes the physical embodiment of the unspoken truth that everyone else in the room is desperately trying to ignore.
And that leads us, finally, to the last act, the name of negation. This is where all the different pieces of his identity, all the stops on his journey downward, they all finally come together into one complete and totally paradoxical name. You could almost hear it,
The sound of his bells, it signifies this profound resolution. The source material puts it so beautifully. It's like the completion of a long, unresolved musical chord that's been hanging in the air for centuries. The Jester has finally arrived at his true earned identity.
His full name isn't just a single word. It's the sum of his entire journey. As you can see, it includes his role as the instrument, his function as the mirror, his evolution into the witness in waiting, and it all culminates in this one final, startling piece: the negation.
And there it is, his final, powerful declaration. He fully accepts this title. He is the not-self. He's the necessary absence, the uncomfortable contrast that is required for other people to finally see themselves clearly, rot and all.
So the not-self is basically the ultimate grotesque mirror. It's the force that makes the familiar feel strange, and in doing so, it reveals the decay that all our rituals and polite ceremonies are designed to cover up. But most importantly, it is that uncomfortable, unignorable space between what someone claims to be and what they truly are.
So the parable ends with the Jester, now whole, now complete in his purpose, turning back toward the world. His personal journey, his descent, is over. But his arrival? That marks the beginning of something else entirely. And so we are left with this question. When a world that's built on convenient illusions is suddenly confronted by a truth that refuses to look away, what exactly does that world wake up to?